the frustrations, we interviewed 7 or 8 different potential contractors without clicking on anybody. So we were kind of worried because our time frames were getting tighter, and we also had a budget issue, and so our concern was everybody seemed to be doing a selling job, and we were worried about going beyond the time limit we had and going over our budget. In our case, it had been a long-term rental, and it was kind of pretty well worn out, we say, in interior, and the thought was to try to sell it as is, or if we could find somebody who could do a reasonable remodel of major rooms like kitchen and bathrooms in a reasonable budget in a reasonable amount of time, we could probably get a little bit more if we put it on the market. Well, it was a matter of we interviewed 7 or 8 different folks, and we even had somebody representing the realtor approach us as well. And I either felt like we were getting a sales job or we're getting lowballed. And it got to the point where with you, there was just a different feel. You weren't selling the job, you were informing us or educating us of what you've done, what you're capable of doing. And it just felt like we'd work with you a little bit better than anyone else we'd talk to. That got pretty well accomplished in the initial interview. Mike and her crew came in, chatted with us. All of a sudden, we realized we weren't being sold something. We were being educated as to what could be done, what the different variables would be, and relative different cost avenues. And even though we had a tight time frame, it seemed like it might be done within the time frame that we wanted to get it done. Well, there was quite a different number of ways. First of all, for us, communication was huge. We would get updates. Well, there was said weekly. It was probably a lot more than weekly. But not only what's been accomplished, but also the week ahead, what to expect. And anytime there was any kind of a glitch or any kind of an issue, which there really weren't too many, communication was rapid, responses were rapid. And if there were issues that came up, they were solved. Partly, I think, just because Mike and the crew have resources. They've done this kind of work repeatedly, for a lot of years. And it was obviously knew what they were doing. Yeah, I think the experience we had was things went very, very smoothly, even when there might have been a glitch or two. And there were several incidences where, for instance, we were going to leave the laundry room floor as is. And I think Mike suggested that we might consider taking the entire floor throughout the house. And I'm glad he made that suggestion. Early in the game, there was a small kind of what used to be an outdoor window between the kitchen and the dining area that had been added on. And one of his main suggestions was opening that up so that more natural light would come in. We all kind of agreed on light cabinets and that kind of thing, but they also had resources for those cabinets, which we didn't have, and it made it very seamless for us. I think that what we felt from the beginning is communication, and communication is not only the frequency of communication, using terms we could easily understand. Some contractors they're happy to use words that are common to our industry, where a homeowner kind of goes, not sure what they're talking about, well, we'll nod our head and pretend we do. We didn't have to do any of that. And plus the fact that when we didn't have resources, they had the resources, whether it be the cabinets, whether it be appliances. They even gave us appliance packages to look at. It made it very, very simple for us, because we were neophytes in the renovation, and obviously they were far from neophytes. Well, 2 words, I guess, right on, because we didn't have much leeway on the time frame. We had a realtor who was anxious to have staging come in and anxious to have open houses, and in a period of time, I think we were 1 or 2 days out from the original estimate, which to me is basically right on schedule. So they pretty well knew what it took to get the job done, and Mike and the crew put extra time in if needed to take care of issues that came up where extra time wasn't considered needed when we first talked. And they met the expectation right on the button. A lot of it, I think, is the finished product. It didn't meet expectation because they exceeded them. It's a matter that Mike and crew could visualize what we were working toward. And at that time, we had an old stodgy kitchen and kind of worn out bathrooms. And he could visualize what it was going to look like. And he shared that with us, but our vision was short of what really was the final result. And it was a kitchen that I would dearly love to have, or a bathroom I would dearly love to be able to use. Yeah, I think that one of our decisions was whether to remodel or sell as is. And we were first given a bid of, I think it was roughly 2.1 million as is, and back and forth we got it up to about 2.4 million. The realtor felt in a stretch we could maybe get 2.6. But the fact that somebody was willing to pay the money they were offering, there might be money in it if it was fixed up correctly. The end result, we started, our ceiling went up to about 3 million. We were hoping we'd get that for a gross sale. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. We got 3,225,000. And most of that was because of the appearance. You walk into this house, he's created more of an open concept. He's created a much more utility kitchen that's well lit, bright, and cheery to be in. Bathrooms that are pleasant to be in and very functional to use. The flooring throughout just kind of has the house all flow together. It's been quite a transformation. Well, obviously feel good about the investment in renovation. Obviously we gained a lot more in that, and we covered those expenses and quite a bit more. And it's one of those where you kind of feel, gosh, we've done this before. Tenants could have enjoyed this more, and we probably could have had a better rent rate going that basis. So you kind of look at, gosh, what were we thinking? We left this old stodgy house there and had to rent it low on the market, and we could have done a lot better. It would be very easy to recommend Mike and the crew, because we have a low-key person who really knows his stuff. The one thing I really, really want to emphasize is the communication. And it's two-way communication, because they listen to us, they accept what we have, they make recommendations. If we have something that's probably not the smartest thing, they tactfully let us know that we might want to rethink that. But there's a lot of examples. I mean, opening up the wall of the kitchen, having a different format of the kitchen where it was kind of a backwards G-shape. Now it's an open U, and much more useful, much more approachable, with multiple people being able to use it, where before, about one person in the kitchen would pretty well fill it up. Bathrooms, being able to go from, we had a corner shower, and he suggested making full open glass doors. Makes the room even feel bigger. I mean, those things they go a long way, and obviously, based on the price we had, a lot of people felt the same way. You look at, a lot of people will flip houses, and they don't use the best quality of materials. And the work is, I guess the best way to say it, I won't say shoddy, it doesn't have a finished look about it. And you walk into this house now, and no matter what room you're walking into or through, you see a very refined finished product. And when we say that we put it on the market, we were hoping to get a few offers. We ended up with 10 offers, 9 of which were over our asking price. So obviously the house impressed the people looking to buy a house as well. In a word, wow. I think there is a wow factor, pardon my French. It's a matter of our inability to visualize what the finished product was to be as part of it, but Mike and the crew had a good vision. And they stayed their course, and they were willing to let us save money a few places here and there, but they did it in a way that it didn't detract from the overall look at the end. And right now has a product that was eminently marketable, and it's going to be a nice new family home for somebody very shortly. Grab them if they have the time to work with you, because if they don't, they'll be working for somebody else. Now, it's been a great experience, because the nature of how you communicate with people is important. The fact that communication was on time, it was both ways, always responsive. You had the resources that we didn't have, and you had very, very good opinions about the multitude of resources, which one would fit best together, which one melded. We have, right now we have kitchens and baths that are extremely pleasant to be in based on the materials and the colors used. And I wouldn't hesitate using them again.